I, female 26, have had a rough life, but I'm now doing well. It wasn't as bad as they show in the movies. I wasn't homeless or suffered abuse, but I was just neglected, especially in favor of my younger brother, Harry, male, 18. My parents are both strict, and I don't remember having a very warm or welcoming home. It was a cold place, both the home and their hearts. They weren't very emotional or expressive, and all of that just affected me a lot. Soon after my brother was born, I realized that they loved him more. I overheard Mom saying that she was glad she finally had a boy, and that if she had had a boy first, she would have been content with only one child. That one sentence and one night have stuck with me all through my life. When I was a teenager, one day, in a fit of rage, I told my mother that I had heard what she had said that night. But she straight up denied that she had said anything of that sort and ended up accusing me, saying that I was always finding new ways of being the victim. It was tough being me in that house. My dad, for the most part, did not really care about whatever the hell was happening. As long as he could come home after work, relax, and have a drink or two, didn't matter to him. All through my childhood, I worked really hard in school. I thought, like most children do, that if I get good grades, do well, and try and be the ideal kid, I would get the same love that Harry got for merely existing. As you might have guessed already, none of that happened. No matter what I did, I was never the focus. If I performed well, it was expected. It's not as though I wasn't appreciated, I was. They praised me, but that wasn't their focus ever. The focus was Harry because he didn't do well, so they had to pay more attention to him. If he somehow did do well some year, the focus was on him because it was a special moment. My achievements were routine and his were special. I was routine and he was special. That has been my entire childhood, and I know it's sad, but now I've just made my peace with it. By the time I turned 16, I had realized that no matter what I did, they would never look at the efforts that I put in. So I became a rebel, mostly without a cause. I had denied myself my hobbies and interests all this while because I wanted to study, and then I began to resent who I was. That was when my focus shifted. So when we were discussing college, my father was hell-bent on trying to convince me to take a computer science course. He felt that that was the most upcoming thing, and because I had been sharp in school and had continuously worked hard, he felt that I could get in. Maybe I could have if I tried, but I didn't want to. And that resolve was strengthened when I realized that he really wanted me to do it. I was done trying to please them. As I said, I was in my rebellious phase, and I was sure that I would not do something that they wanted me to. There was no point in living my life according to them. It wasn't as though I was getting anything out of it, so I ended up resisting. I told them that I wanted to do a course in cosmetology and become a hairdresser. My dad was livid. So was my mom, but she didn't really care about what I did either, so meh. But Dad was just straight up furious. He said that he didn't want me becoming a barber, and I was better than that and whatnot. He just couldn't fathom that I was throwing all of my intellect away because I wanted to cut hair. He's weird and old-fashioned. We had a massive fight about it all. I refused to budge, and so did he. He told me that there was no way in hell that he was going to pay for a stupid course for me, and that if I really felt that I was capable enough of taking my own decisions and doing whatever the hell I wanted, there was no space for me in the house. I couldn't believe my ears. He threatened to cut me out only because I was not doing what he wanted. Mom intervened then, but it was a little too late. She tried to pacify Dad, but he didn't listen. He had thought that maybe if he gave me such a huge ultimatum, I would back down and function according to his whims. Little did he know that I was exactly like him. I was stubborn and I didn't listen to anybody, and I told him if that was what he wanted, I was willing to leave home. He thought I was bluffing, so did Mom, and so did Harry. But I wasn't. We had these fights for almost a year before school ended. He tried convincing me, and I refused to listen. That was how it was. But I was sure that I wanted to be a hairdresser. Within a week after school, I packed my bags and left home, and haven't been back since. I lived with a friend for a while and enrolled in the program that I wanted to. My parents tried to convince me to change my decision and again put money over my head. When Dad realized that the ultimatum of not funding my education did not work, he tried to use more money to lure me, or rather threaten me. He said that he would will away all his money and property to Harry if I didn't listen. If I wanted even a single penny out of the family's money, I needed to listen to him and stop my whimsical little barber course. By that time, I had had enough of his bull crap. I told him to eat and go to hell because I wasn't going to listen to him. I was sick of his controlling behavior. All my life I had done what they wanted me to do because I wanted their attention. And now that I was finally doing what I wanted, all of them had their panties in a twist. That was the last time I have spoken to him. It's been 3 years since we've been in contact, and I have had moments of struggle. It wasn't easy doing what I have done without any help. But I still did it because I'm proud of myself and how far I have come. It takes a lot of hard work and grit, and I did what was required to make a good life for myself. I have been no contact with my family, so I really don't know how they got wind of where I am and what I'm doing. Maybe they have been keeping tabs on me, but never decided to talk to me or get in touch with me because I wasn't of any use to them. I remember Dad had told me that I would be a colossal embarrassment to him and the family. I will never forget those words. And it's hilarious because now I'm not a colossal embarrassment. Now I am a cash cow that they want to milk until it runs dry. A couple of months ago, I opened my own salon. I don't want to give out a lot of details for privacy reasons. But it is in a high-end location, and my clientele are rich people. I have worked very hard to be where I am today. I have lived so many years being underpaid, but somehow managing my finances because I wanted to learn. The hustle has been huge, but it has also been rewarding. As of today, I'm doing very well for myself. It's my first salon, and I have been making a profit already. I might look into expanding in the future because it has that scope. But all in all, things are going well for me. I don't know if I can say the same for my parents. Unlike them, I haven't been keeping tabs, so until yesterday, I had no idea what they were up to and what was happening in their lives. Yesterday, however, I got a call from an unknown number. I recognized the voice instantly. It was my father. He told me that he, Mom, and Harry were visiting the same town as me, and they wanted to meet and bury the hatchet. I was naive enough to believe that that was the actual reason behind their visit. It wasn't. I got a little emotional as well because even though I am mad at them and they have wronged me, they are still my parents. I think no matter what they do or say, children always want that love and validation from their parents. I did too. And I felt like that little girl again. I was both nervous and excited to meet them. It had been 8 years since I had seen them. Heck, Harry was an adult. He hadn't even hit puberty when I had last seen him. I was hopeful that this would be the part where I would start a new chapter of my life with them. But as always, they ended up disappointing me. We met at a restaurant for lunch and we got to talking. I asked them how they got my number and they said that they had been wanting to get in touch with me for a long time. Another lie, I believe. They said that they had to pull some strings, but they finally got my contact. For the first hour or so, they were talking about my work, what I had been doing, things like that. But I could sense they weren't really interested in that, as in, they weren't attentive. I started feeling a little weird, so I shifted the conversation towards them. I asked them what was up with them, and that is when their sad little sob story started. I don't know how far it is true, and even if it is, I don't care at this point. Dad told me that he had invested in some stupid scheme and had lost all that money, so he's been working overtime. Mom, who had always stayed at home to look after us, well, in reality, look after Harry because she did not look after me, also had to pick up a job because things weren't looking good for them. The way they had started their story gave me a sense that they were not here because they wanted to build bridges. They were here because they wanted my damn money. Before they could jump in and ask, I turned to Harry and started talking to him. I tried to ignore them when they tried to in, but the issue was that Harry was in on it as well. I asked him what he wanted to do and how he handled school and everything. So basically, Harry just didn't study. He was my complete opposite. From what I could gather, Mom and Dad just coddled him after I left. They used to do that before I had left as well, but it just got crazy after I left. There were no restrictions for him. He could do whatever the hell he wanted. He didn't study. He didn't really excel at sports, so he was kind of just there, doing nothing, and that was when it clicked. I finally understood why they were here. They wanted money for Harry and not for themselves. Harry could not clear any exams, and a kid from a community college was something that was beneath my father. It was basically the issue that I had with him years ago, all over again, but in a different form. In my time, I was adamant that I wanted to be a hairdresser, and his only issue with that was that it wasn't a prestigious enough job or a good enough degree. With Harry, too, the issue's the same. He didn't work hard, and now our dear little daddy won't have a precious degree to showcase in the house. This is when Dad said that he needed my help. He said that since Harry didn't score well in the SATs and the only other option that remains for him right now is community college, which of course isn't acceptable to him, he needs my help. He said that he knows that I am doing very well for myself despite cutting people's hair for a living, and that he wanted me to be a good big sister and help out my little brother. I laughed so hard I spat my drink out. I don't know what made me laugh so hard. Maybe it was his audacity or maybe it was the ridiculousness of his demand, but I just could not stop laughing. They looked quite offended, but to me it was just funny. I said I wasn't a big sister to anybody and that they weren't my family. I had thought that maybe this was them trying to reconcile for me, but again, the entire focus was Harry. Mom tried to in and say that I was getting it wrong, but I was having none of her crap. I said that they had a lot of guts asking me for my money when they had thrown me out of the house and refused to pay my way through my program. Dad scoffed at me and said that what I did wasn't a real job and I just got lucky. He even said he didn't know what really went on in those shady salons, and I hope you get what he was implying because I don't have it in me to type that crap out. I was furious. I told him that if that was what he really thought about me and my work, why was he here begging for my dirty money? That shut him up real quick because he realized that if he offends me, I'm not giving him a single dollar. I wasn't giving it to him anyway, but well, a man can dream. And if his delusional wanted to fool himself, he was more than welcome. I told them that there was no way I was giving them money. They had not helped me when I needed it, when it was their duty to. It was bold of them to assume that I would help them out when I literally had no reason to. Yes, Harry was my brother, but he was my brother, not my son. They had decided that they wanted 2 children. They had decided that they wanted a son, no matter the cost. So now they had to live with that. They had to shoulder that responsibility because I wouldn't. Moreover, they hadn't shouldered my responsibility. At least show up for one damn kid, especially your favorite one. Mom said that she knew that I had a problem with them and things were not good between us, but that punishing Harry for it wasn't fair. I said that I wasn't punishing him for anything. He never tried to maintain contact with me. I agreed that he was only 10 when I left, but 10 is old enough to make memories. Why didn't he reach out to me when he got older? Why didn't he try to mend bridges? That's because he never cared either. All three of them look at me like a cash cow. I told them that I could see through their facade now, so there was no point in pretending that they were here for me and that they wanted us to be a family again. They didn't. And that much was evident. They were here only and only for their son. By that point, my father knew that I wasn't shelling out a single dime to help them out, and he got up to leave. Mom seemed reluctant, but before they could storm out and have the final word as such, I got up and left. This happened yesterday, and I was fuming and in a pissy mood all day, but now that I have calmed down a little bit, I feel that I may have overreacted, especially with Harry. He did not deserve all that outpouring of hate and resentment. But on the other hand, I know that if he really wanted to get back in touch with me, he could have tried. He was too busy ruining his life to bother about anything, and now it's a little too convenient for him to come back and play brothers. It's not fair to me, especially considering all that I have been through. I know that I've hurt their ego, so now they won't be coming to ask me for help. And I am happy about that. I don't want to help my parents anyway. It's just Harry I feel bad about, and I don't know what to do. Update 1. I read your comments and decided to talk to Harry alone. I've been feeling bad and guilty about the entire situation myself, and it was weighing on me. I hadn't given Harry a chance to speak, and I hadn't reached out to him either. So part of the fault lay with me as well. I called him. I had to DM him on Instagram and decided to meet for a chat. He seemed hesitant, and I don't blame him, but he came nonetheless. I had told him that if he came with Mom and Dad, there was no repairing our relationship. I wanted to give us a chance, and this was it. If he blew this away, I was done. He promised me that he would come alone and Mom and Dad wouldn't even know that he was coming to meet me. And he was true to his word. We got to talking and I kind of got his perspective. He had never seen the favoritism as favoritism. He was too young to understand it, and I kind of get that. By the time he developed his own rationality and could form his own opinions, I was gone. And all that Mom and Dad told him all these years was that I had left because I did not like them. So he knew better than to reach out to me. I felt really bad talking to him. I realized that it was because of my own assumptions and resentment that I didn't give him a chance, and painted him as the villain in my mind, when all this while he was just a little kid, and the entire fault lay with my parents. He said that they were horrible parents to him too. They never disciplined him for anything. He always got what he wanted, and by the time he realized that this would not get him anywhere in life, it was too late. The turning point for him was when he took their car to drive. He didn't have a license, and they didn't give him permission to use it, and totaled it completely. It was a horrible accident, and the car was completely wrecked. He said that he was driving really fast, and he had a couple of friends with him. I suspect they were drinking, but I didn't ask him for details other than those he was giving out willingly. He said that he had swerved to save a pedestrian and hit a pillar with full force. He said it was frankly a miracle that he was alive, and he just couldn't believe what he had done. He had thought that Mom and Dad would be livid at him. He was driving without a license and had almost killed a man. But nothing. When they found out, they didn't hold him accountable for even something as serious as this. They just said that they were very relieved that nothing had happened to him, and that he was a great boy who put his own life in danger. The swerve. To save a total stranger. I couldn't believe what he had said. He had endangered so many lives that day, and I am glad he realizes that what he did was wrong on every level. But God, my parents, they're horrible. I really don't know how the both of us have made it out alive till adulthood under their care. When I heard this story, I realized they weren't really parents to either of us, and they screwed us up in different ways. They turned me into an overachieving rebel with an abandonment issue. And they turned him into a reckless a-hole who has no sense of responsibility. I mean, that's what we ought to have been given in our upbringing, but I'm glad both of us had a sense of our own, especially Harry. I honestly felt really bad for him and very guilty. I had been too involved in my own life, and I should have been there for him. Maybe I could have prevented something like this from happening. I couldn't help but wonder what would have happened if he hadn't used his presence of mind. It was not just him, it was the stranger walking, it was all of his friends in the car. I just don't understand how Mom and Dad did not get the severity of the situation, though I am relieved that Harry did. He said that that was the moment he knew that he was on a very dark path, and if he didn't start holding himself accountable, things were going to go south real soon. And he also knew that he couldn't expect that from Mom and Dad. So essentially, he had to parent himself. I could feel what he said because it was similar with me too. I had always believed that he was the special one and he would have a better life and would turn out to be all great. But I was wrong. My parents can't even love right. They managed to somehow destroy both their kids mentally, the one they loved and the one they didn't. We wanted to spend some more time with each other, but my mom started calling him and he had to leave. He said that he would be in touch with me and that even if I decide not to help him, he would still like to be my brother. He said that it wasn't his idea to come to me for help, but Mom and Dad made him. I've been thinking, and I feel that I should help him. It's true that I can. I have the means to pay for him, but then again, providing everything to him on a platter won't be right. He won't learn responsibility, and a part of me will always resent the fact that he had someone he could turn to for help, but didn't. I can pay part of his fees, and he can take a loan for the rest. But he is very wary of taking a loan. It's weird in my eyes because everyone does, but well, I can't force him to do anything. He's young, and if I make financial decisions for him that go south, I know I will be liable to pay, and I don't want that responsibility on myself. I'm leaning towards not paying his way through college. He can get enrolled in a community college and work his way like all of us who struggle. The maximum I'm willing to do is pay him a certain monthly allowance so that he finds it easy and can enjoy his college life. I didn't enjoy mine, but I know everyone deserves to. However, I'm going to make sure that the allowance will be discontinued if he doesn't perform well or if there are any disciplinary complaints against him. Given his self-admitted history of problematic and reckless behavior, I don't want to cause more issues, but rather solve existing ones. But I can't help but worry that he has been set up to do this by Mom and Dad. What if this is part of an elaborate plan to make me take some of their responsibility? I want to trust my brother, I really do, but somehow I can't shut this nagging thought. It's constantly there in the back of my mind, running like a tape recorder on loop. If even he turns out to be a scheming piece of crap like them, then there is no coming back from that for me. There just isn't. Then all of them are completely dead to me. Update 2. Harry has refused to take the money. I offered it to him. I told him everything that I had fought for him and how he could just focus on enjoying while also working hard and studying. I told him I wanted to make life a little easier for him, just a little. I wouldn't be funding his parties or any other escapades that he had in mind, but I still wanted to be there for him and help him out. He said that he had fought a lot and he didn't want the money. He said that he had not come to me for financial help or support the other day, but something very different. He just wanted to get back in touch with me and wanted an elder in his life that he could actually talk to and take guidance from because mom and dad are thoroughly ill equipped for it. It honestly made me tear up. Both of us hugged each other and sobbed. He is going to go to community college despite dad pressuring him not to. He wants to do something on his own, and more than anyone else, he says that he wants to prove to himself that he has got what it takes to be successful and hardworking. I could sense that there is a lot that is going on with him, and I gently suggested he try therapy and that it would help him. He looked hesitant, and he said that he wanted to try it, but he would in time. I said that if he wanted me to be an elder sister to him, he could not say no if I was the one paying for his therapy. He thanked me and said that he would try it out. I'm glad that I will be able to do at least something for him. Mom and Dad know that we have gotten back in touch, but they aren't really party to a lot of details. I don't talk to them, and Harry says that he doesn't share stuff with them. They've all gone back to their place today, but I have promised Harry that I will talk to him every week. It's a surprise that he has turned out so nice, but I'm so glad that he has. I'm glad that they came here because even though I didn't get my parents back, which I was wishfully thinking would happen, I got my little brother, and to me, that is much better than having to deal with those blood-sucking leeches anyway. Harry is 10 times the man my father is, and I am so proud of him. I'm glad I posted here because a lot of you told me to look at things from his perspective and give him a chance. Thank God I did, because I would have missed out on so much if I hadn't. That is all, and hopefully this will be my last update. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.